good morning, good afternoon to everyone out there. Thank you for joining us for the first member benefits webinar of 2022. We are so pleased that you're joining us today, whether you are a new member, a longtime member, or a soon-to-be member. We've got a great presentation that'll go over a little bit of the history of Medical Alley, and then the work that we do on your behalf to make this community stronger and to make your company more successful. I'm joined today by my incredible team of partners here who deliver service to you and so many members around the world to make sure that Medical Alley remains the global epicenter of health innovation and care. As we're going through this, if you have questions, use the Q&A function, throw them in there, whatever questions you have, the team will grab them. We might wait for some of them towards the end because you may ask a question that anticipates something coming up, so don't worry if it doesn't get answered right away. And with that, I'll say thank you for joining us, and I'll hand it over to my colleague, Christy, to kick us off. Christy, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks, Frank, for that great introduction. As Frank mentioned, my name is Christy Pogachnik. I am the member engagement leader. And so my role here at Medical Alley is really to be sure that members are getting the most out of your membership. And I consider myself kind of your frontline customer service person. So please feel free to always reach out to me if you have any questions. I can always connect you with someone else within the organization. And I don't want to forget to also thank you for your membership, and thanks for being here if you're not a member yet. We look forward to having you. So when we talk about Medical Alley, we really are talking about a couple of things. We're talking about Medical Alley, the place, and Medical Alley, the association. So starting with the place, Medical Alley is Minnesota and the surrounding region. And it is the place where healthcare transformation is happening. And that's why we call it the global epicenter of health innovation and care. We're working really hard to ensure that when the world thinks about, the most and best transformative health innovation and care, that they're thinking about Medical Alley. Now, talking about the association was founded in 1984 by Earl Bakken and founder of Medtronic, and it is now comprised of nearly 700 health, technology, and care organizations. So our passion is really to support the work that our member companies are doing, from startup stage companies to major corporations, and to ensure that these companies are able to thrive in this region. So today you'll learn more about how we do that. So our mission: champion and facilitate an environment that enables health technology and care organizations to innovate and succeed. And our vision is that we will elevate Medical Alley as the global epicenter of health innovation and care. So who are Medical Alley Association members? Again, with around 690 companies, we have a really strong representation of the diverse and really ever expanding health innovation and care ecosystem here in Medical Alley. So what's unique about our association is that we aren't, just an association of hospitals or payers or digital device. Our association is the only organization that we know of to bring together the entire continuum of care under one roof. And by doing this, we have a more powerful voice in state and federal policy matters, and we can facilitate more partnerships and growth opportunities. So we really do this all in order to make our member companies more successful. So if you're new to the association, or like maybe your colleague sent you this webinar, you're not really sure why, let me tell you why it's awesome that your company is a member. So kind of big picture, high level, membership means that you are on the inside of Medical Alley. So you gain access to leadership in our community, exclusive content and insights, public policy expertise, and of course, opportunities to meet and collaborate. We know how important that networking piece is. And this is a small but important point. When your company is a member, all of your employees within your organization have access to membership. So please make sure to spread the word about your membership, and I'll tell you later how to do that. So you have a better idea now of this membership and a little bit more about the association. Next, I'd like to cover what it means to be an engaged member. And then after that, I will turn it over to my colleagues to talk a little bit more about some of the more specific tangible benefits of membership. So kicking off this section about member engagement, I really want to emphasize that we want to work for you. So please use us. Being a member of the association means that you have the opportunity to be really an active part of transforming healthcare's business model. We love to see member companies, connecting with each other, forming new partnerships, and we welcome your participation on the work that we do that drives policy on both the state and federal level, and you'll hear more about that from Jessica in a bit. So again, I want to drive home the point that membership really is a partnership. It is a two-way street. We genuinely want to help your business thrive in Medical Alley, and we want to understand what you're experiencing and what your goals are, what you're working for. And then that way we can be your best possible advocate. Again, driving home the point that membership is company-wide. Tell your colleagues, we can help in so many areas of your business, whether it's procurement, government relations, HR, or marketing. We want to get those folks from your company plugged into the association. Okay, and then lastly on this slide, let's talk quickly about the referral process. The referral process is exclusive to our members, and it's a great way to connect your company with the resources that you need and the partnerships that we need. So we really do annually make thousands of referrals, which can accelerate finding talent, suppliers, partners, and other resources, as well as drive business to our members who are working in those spaces. Okay, on this slide, you can see here really the span of services that we offer. These benefits can help you reduce operating expenses, recruit and retain talent, get your brand and story in front of key healthcare leaders to really help drive sales and partnership opportunities. Throughout the rest of this webinar, you'll get a better understanding of how, for much less than the cost of adding even one new employee, you'll really add an entire team. So by federating the resources across hundreds of companies, you'll benefit from our expertise without bearing the full cost. So now let's get a little bit more in depth into some of the benefits, starting with our jobs board. So next slide, please. Thank you. So I think we've all really experienced this crazy tight labor market in one way or another. Medical Alley is here to be your partner to find talented employees. So I encourage all of you to tap into our industry-leading jobs board. Posting is free for members, and we also have, a vast talent network and ways that we can connect you with recruiter members for key hire assistance. And the last thing I'll just mention is that we do also offer in-transition memberships. So these are memberships for individuals who are looking for work and wants to stay in Medical Alley and stay in the industry. So these memberships are free, and they give access to individuals to attend member-only events and discounts and things like that. So you can reach out to me to learn more about that opportunity. And now, thank you all for listening. I will hand it over to my colleague, Dawes, who will talk more about how your company can save money by being a member.
Thanks for the introduction, Christy. My name is Dawes Sutton, and I help lead our cost savings program in partnership with Bio Business Solutions. In partnership, we work with industry-leading suppliers like Office Depot, VWR, and UPS. Through these partnerships, we help our members save on overhead costs. Last year alone, our members saved on average $30,000. If you're looking to save your company money, please feel free to reach out to me and I can help get you connected. Finally, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Jessica Young, to talk about policy.
Thanks, Dawes. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining today's member benefits webinar. Like Dawes said, my name is Jessica Young, and I am the Manager of State Government Relations and Policy here at the association. I'm excited to tell you more about what the policy and advocacy team does for Medical Alley Association members and how you can partner with our team to advance your organization's policy priorities. So the slides that I will have up on the screen do a good job of summarizing the work that our team does, but I'll provide some more detail as I flip through the slides. And please, if you have questions as I go through my portion of the webinar, drop them in the Q&A function and I'd be happy to answer them at the conclusion of the webinar. So with that said, I will start with the main goals that drive our policy and advocacy work. The main goals of our policy and advocacy team are: 1, to elevate our members and the association as the leaders in advancing Medical Alley as the global epicenter of health innovation and care. The second goal is to deliver successes on key policy initiatives at both the state and the federal level. Our policy and advocacy team has years of experience working in both St. Paul and in Washington, D.C., and we use that experience to advocate on behalf of our association's member companies, whether it's an issue that's affecting an entire industry or sometimes an individual company. Our team engages with the state and the federal government in several ways, including testifying in state legislative hearings, sending letters of support or opposition to state legislators, the Minnesota congressional delegation, and the Biden administration. We also have meetings with legislators on a regular basis to build key relationships and explain the association's policy priorities or positions. All of these methods of engagement are key, and when they're combined, they've proven to be extremely effective. Our team has the pleasure of sharing your company's stories with elected officials. These stories of successes and business challenges and regulatory roadblocks help shape policy at the state, local, and federal level. So on this slide, you'll see some of our work in action, and I'll dive into some of that right now. Each year, Medical Alley Association members have 2 main opportunities to meet with and interact with our elected officials. So the first is Medical Alley Day at the Capitol. For companies and employees located here in Minnesota, this is an opportunity to meet with your state representatives and share your company's story. The second opportunity that I'd like to mention is our DC Fly-In. This has been an opportunity for members to meet with elected officials who serve in Washington, DC. Another key way to engage with our policy team is to participate in roundtables and working groups. Our association hosts roundtables focused on different relevant topics, and we organize working groups on specific subjects. These working groups and roundtables bring our membership together to analyze and unpack important topics and policy issues. A really great example of this is on the screen right now. Our Telehealth Policy Advisory Group. This group was brought together to weigh in on state and federal policy proposals that expanded the use and scope of telehealth technology. And as all of you know, this kind of care delivery was utilized at a much higher rate during the pandemic. And this group provided key policy recommendations to elected officials as they passed critical legislation on the subject. So I hope this shows that our members really drive our policy agenda and our advocacy work. We want to hear from you to understand what issues to focus on, what bills to provide comment on, and who to meet with. Member engagement, like Christy said, really is the key. So this is a great transition to highlighting some really specific ways that you and your organization can engage with our policy team and hopefully move the needle on policy issues that matter most to your company. So if we could go, there we go, perfect. So the first way to engage with Medical Alley Association's policy work is really simple. Just reach out to us. Our policy team is here to be a resource for you. We can unpack policy challenges, we can connect you to key lawmakers, and we help represent your organization's interests in St. Paul and in Washington, D.C. As some of you might know, the state legislative session is in full swing. Bills are moving and legislators are hard at work. Our team members are really the boots on the ground, tracking legislation, weighing in on important proposals, and ensuring that lawmakers use Medical Alley Association member companies as resources as they consider legislation that affects the entire healthcare industry. I touched on this briefly earlier, but I'd invite you to participate in working groups, roundtables, and other opportunities to help guide policy proposals at the state and federal level. We really look to you as subject matter experts to help guide legislative proposals. So please do engage with us when those opportunities come about. We would also encourage you to stay in the loop with content that Medical Alley Association and our policy team provides. You can subscribe to our At the Table newsletter on our website and access our At the Table podcast, where our team has one-on-one conversations with some of Minnesota's top elected officials. Our association really does provide and produce high quality, one-of-a-kind content, and we encourage you to take advantage of it. So that was a quick rundown of what the policy team does here at the association. Feel free to drop questions in the Q&A function. And if you think of one after the webinar is over, please reach out to me or any of our team members. We would be more than happy to talk with you. So at this point, I will pass it off to my colleague Keegan to talk about communications and marketing.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Keegan Sarda. I am our marketing communications specialist. As we approach 2 years of working remotely, many of us are still working from our homes, so I apologize if you hear my neighbor's construction going on above me. But I'm excited to talk to you guys today about some of the ways that we can help you make the most of your membership utilizing the marketing team here at Medical Alley. We want to help you expand your brand and reach your target audience and connect with, Medical Alley's broad audience. As Christy mentioned, Medical Alley is the global epicenter of health innovation and care, and that's because of the work that you guys do. And what Medical Alley's marketing team does is really two-pronged. One is to bring you content and insights on the newest advancements in healthcare, and two is elevate your work, tell your story, and help you reach your target audience. So next, I'd like to dive into, cover some of the ways that we can help you gain insights and connect as Medical Alley members. So first is webinars. We started this in 2020 as in-person events were no longer feasible, and we wanted to connect our membership and our audience with content and information in an easy and convenient format. And so far, it has been really successful, and we've been fortunate to gather leaders from Fortune 500 companies and startups to discuss some of the most important topics in the healthcare industry. So far, it has been fantastic. We've covered topics such as health equity, addiction, senior care, value-based care, maternal care, and more. Another option is the Medical Alley podcast. So this was also started in 2020 and really as a way to bring our audience into these discussions across Medical Alley about the innovative work that our member companies are doing. And so we've had some really exciting discussions with C-suite leaders, general managers, entrepreneurs, executives, and more. And really, we are bringing you into conversations about some of the most cutting edge and intriguing issues in the industry. So you can find this podcast at medicalalleypodcast.org or really wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's iTunes or Google or Spotify. We'll go to the next slide, please. And so we have a couple upcoming opportunities to engage. We'll talk more about the little tidbit in the corner there, but we have some in-person and virtual events coming up. So we have our in-person annual dinner taking place on May 12th at US Bank Stadium. And we have a virtual Ask Me Anything Medical Alley Starts event on May 19th. Those are always a ton of fun. We've actually just opened them up to the general public for the first time. It was limited to a smaller select audience, but now anyone can join, and it should be great. Definitely don't miss out on the annual event or the annual dinner. We'll talk about that more later. And we're, like I mentioned, we do weekly podcasts. You can see that we have a nice slate for the rest of the quarter lined up with some really interesting speakers from across the healthcare continuum. So if you've seen these and you've thought, maybe my senior vice president would be a great guest on the podcast or a great webinar guest, please reach out to us. We are always looking for new guests to come onto our podcast or webinar, people with, interesting insights and expertise. Some things to consider that make a good podcast or webinar host or guest are someone who is in executive leadership, someone who is in thought leadership, and a topic that is pertinent to kind of Medical Alley's broader audience. So, less niche and something more kind of on the forefront of healthcare and pertinent topics today. So you can reach out to our team. Tyler Mason is our digital media manager. You can email him at tmason@medicalalley.org to get in touch and, let us know if you want to have a discussion about being on our podcast or our webinars. So as I mentioned, we have the biggest night in healthcare coming up soon. This is our annual dinner. We are excited to host Michael Phelps. He'll be delivering our keynote speech, and registration is now open. It's filling fast. So if you want to buy a ticket, you can go to medicalalley.org/annual dinner to hear Michael Phelps speak and connect with the rest of the Medical Alley audience. So you might have been thinking, well, what if I want to sponsor this? We do have a couple sponsorship opportunities still available. So these are going fast, but there are a few main ones left. And really, this is a great opportunity to showcase your company and align your brand with an amazing night in healthcare as we shine a light on mental health and we work to remove the stigma and barriers around treating this social crisis. So we expect about 1,300 people to be at the beautiful US Bank Stadium to hear Michael Phelps speak. And a sponsorship is really a fantastic way to treat your customers, meet new customers, network, make connections, and shine a light on what matters. And in this case, it is mental health. So we have a reception sponsor available, a Michael Phelps meet and greet, which is a pretty exciting opportunity, an after party sponsor, and an exhibitor. So if you want to learn more, you can connect with our team, or you can visit medicalalley.org/sponsorship. As I mentioned, Medical Alley's marketing team is working to bring you, the newest and most innovative content and intelligence. At Medical Alley, we view ourselves as the nexus of healthcare. And so we're trying to bring you new content every day, from interviews to articles and reports, and be the source of information on the future of healthcare. So you can find all of our social channels here. We're updating these daily with new insights and content. And you can find a lot of our digital content on our intelligence page as well, which is medicalalley.org/intelligence. Lastly, I would say subscribe to our newsletter. We have 15,000 subscribers. You can become one of them. And this is sort of the weekly roundup of the news and insights taking place in Medical Alley. So if you want to reach Medical Alley's broad audience, we do have a few opportunities to get in touch with them. We can help you with that. And those are sponsorship opportunities. So we would love to help you start a conversation, amplify your brand, and connect with the key decision makers. If you have a press release, an exciting announcement, please submit that to our newsroom on our website. Otherwise, if you want to get your content even further, we do have a few paid opportunities. So one really popular opportunity is newsletter advertising. As I mentioned, we have 15,000 subscribers, and it's a great way to promote a product launch or an event that you have coming up. Another opportunity, as Christy mentioned, is we have a great job board, and you can do a sponsored job post. So in what we are calling the Great Resignation, the labor market is tight. So a sponsored job post sticks your job at the top of our job board, the most traffic page on the Medical Alley website. We also have event sponsorships such as Alley Chats, which is our networking event, our annual dinner, and some other events that we have coming up in person and digitally. And lastly, I'll just mention our content amplification package. So this is definitely Medical Alley's most popular sponsorship advertising package. And it's really a fantastic way to get your message out across all of our platforms. It includes a sponsored blog post, newsletter advertising, promoting your blog in our newsletter, posts on our social media channels, and it's really a multi-channel approach to integrate your content with Medical Alley's feed and get your content even further to those decision makers. And we'll work with you to define what success looks like and help you get that message out there. So that's kind of what marketing does. If you want to learn more, please reach out to our team. We'd love to talk to you about how we can help you reach those decision makers and, spread your message and talk about the great work that you guys are doing. So now, after going through some of our marketing, I'll turn it over to Frank Jaskolke to talk about Medical Alley's initiatives.
Thank you for that, Keegan. I appreciate it. Medical Alley has a series of strategic initiatives that allow our organizations, our member organizations, to help make this ecosystem stronger. Back in 2018, a group of members and our board of directors got together to create Realizing the Vision, which identified the key areas that we need to work on to improve this ecosystem and make sure we realize the vision of being the global epicenter of health innovation and care. Those 4 areas were the startup ecosystem, the regional brand, our competitive environment, and a talented workforce. And I'll talk just briefly about a couple of them. Next slide, please. So Medical Alley Starts was our first large initiative where we're working to lower the cost of starting, scaling, and pivoting new ventures. We've worked with over 250 different startup companies to help them find partners and investors, key suppliers and information, build relationships with other executives, and then leverage the Global Epicenter marketing campaign to elevate their brand and tell their story around the world so they can be more successful businesses. And I'll say, if anyone out there, if you're a startup in Medical Alley and you're looking for service or support, please reach out. Or if you're an organization that invests in, partners with, or collaborates with startups and you're interested in learning more, reach out and we'll get you information on it. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we worked with 250 startup companies so far, and an area that surprised us the most was the number of peer-to-peer connections. One of the most common things we get requested is helping these startup companies to find other startup executives, CEOs who have been there, done that, to help them understand the processes, the pitfalls, and what they're going through. But we also then are doing things like supplier referrals, bringing new business into the ecosystem, investor connections that are helping those companies find capital, and then leveraging some key partners, Diversified Plastics, a couple of gurus, and Clifton Larson Allen, who have stepped up to support Medical Alley and support the startup community by providing discounted and enhanced services so these startup companies can get key resources at an early time while still preserving their limited capital. Next slide, please. Our largest initiative and what will be our longest and most impactful one is the Healthcare Transformation Initiative. As Christy mentioned earlier, we're the only association in the country that brings the entire healthcare ecosystem together as peers, as equals. And that gives us the opportunity to work on changing healthcare's business model, to break down the silos where you're making decisions only based on the world you know and help you engage with the other parts of healthcare to solve large, complex problems that get in the way of making care more affordable, more accessible, and higher quality. Our first project in this area, we're working on mental health and in particular on the shortage of workforce, especially diverse workforce in the mental and behavioral health space. And then finally, I'll mention we have our global branding campaign where we are welcoming people to the Silicon Valley of healthcare. That is Medical Alley, the best ecosystem for healthcare in the world. But if people don't know it's that, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, do we make a sound? Well, we're not going to be good Minnesotans. We're going to tell the story around the world and make sure people know that the work you're doing is some of the most important and impactful on earth.
Thank you, Frank, so much. The next section is just a quick little video tutorial of the Medical Alley website. So Tyler, if you could press play, we can see where you can sort of access all of your benefits. Hello and welcome to a brief tutorial of the medicalalley.org website. There is a ton of information on our website, and this tutorial is primarily meant to highlight the benefits of membership and is by no means exhaustive. So please do explore all the nooks and crannies of the website for tons of helpful insight and information. For today's purposes, I'd like to start by pointing out where to sign up for the newsletter. If you scroll to the bottom of our website, just about any page on our website, you will find at the bottom a place to enter your first and last name and email, hit subscribe, and you'll be looped into all of the things that are happening in the Alley. Please also share this opportunity to sign up for the newsletter with the rest of your team. Next, I'd like to point out the job board, which is our most visited page of our website. Here's where you can not only search for a position using any of these search fields up here, but you can also post a job. Posting a position to the job board is very easy. Simply fill out these fields, hit submit job posting. It comes to us for review and approval and is usually live on the job board within about 24 hours. Next, let's move on to the member directory. Under the membership tab, simply click Member Directory. Here's an exhaustive list of all of Medical Alley members. You can search for an organization by name, or you can search by category. This is a really great place for you to search for partners, investors, suppliers, or service providers. When you click here on membership category, I realize in this recording you can't see it, but there is a drop-down menu here with several different organizational categories, such as software services and support, talent recruitment, medical device, government, biotechnology, etc. Simply click on one of these options to see all the member companies that are working in that area. Let's start with professional services. These are all the member companies working in professional services. Next, let's move on to the newsroom. The newsroom is where you can find out a whole bunch of things that are happening in the Alley. And of course, you can also submit your own news by using this button here, Submit Your Press Release. Just fill out this brief form, click Submit, and it goes to our team for approval and dissemination within the community, usually via the weekly email and also this website. Next, I'd like to point out events. Under the Events tab, click Medical Alley Association Events. Here's where you can find out all of the events and register. And of course, also you can access the on-demand digital events. There is, like I said, there is a ton of other information on our website, including information on advocacy and resources, as well as insights. This is a lot of information from leaders within our community. And I'd also finally like to point out that there is a search function. It's kind of hard to see, so I'd like to point it out. It's up here in the right-hand corner. Simply click Search and enter your search criteria here. That pretty much covers it. Thanks for tuning in. Here we are. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We can move on to the question and answer portion of this webinar. And there are a few questions here in the questions box. There was a question about Medical Alley Association's policy priorities for this year. Jessica, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, you bet. Thank you for the question. So I'll touch on sort of the process, because I think that was part of the question too. How do we develop our policy priorities? And that's a really good question. So as I sort of shared in my presentation, it really is member driven. And so that happens in a number of ways. It's kind of a cyclical process that is focused around the state legislative session and then the congressional calendar. Each year we regroup and redetermine what policy priorities our association will have for that calendar year. So we do that through some of our quarterly check-in calls with our members. We will gather issue-specific working groups in some cases to help us unpack and organize around some of those broader topics like telehealth or maternal health, to really hone in on what we want our policy focus to be in that particular area. So in meeting with members in person and via Zoom, we do our best to build a slate of policy priorities that captures priorities that are across the full ecosystem. So I'll share with you the four sort of policy pillars that our association has worked on this session and building off of work we started last year as well. The first policy pillar is addressing healthcare disparities. So this is an issue that we have seen for a long time, and the pandemic made worse. And this is something our board has really prioritized too, addressing healthcare disparities and really focusing on mental health and access to mental health care that is culturally appropriate and available to all who are seeking it. And we've seen the need for that increase significantly over the past couple of years. The second policy pillar we call innovative ecosystem. This really means that we try to make Minnesota a place that is attractive to come and do business, but also to stay and hopefully invest. So you'll hear us talk a lot on the policy side about the angel tax credit. This is a great example of a way that we hope to attract business here to our state and then encourage them to stay. The third policy pillar we call healthcare transformation. This is a broader policy pillar that we have seen capture a lot of different issues around forward-looking care models. Telehealth is a good example. It fits nicely under that policy pillar, but really working with our members to advocate for forward-looking care models that benefit patients across the ecosystem. And the last policy pillar I'll highlight for this year in this session is talent attraction and retention. This is something we've heard from our members a lot. Seeking qualified applicants to fill some of those job vacancies. So our team is hoping to and really prioritizing supporting policies that help fill the job vacancies we see today, but also policies that will train and prepare the workforce to fill the job openings we see in 6 months, 12 months, and years from now. So those are our policy pillars that we're working within this session, and we're thankful for all of our members for helping us develop those. And as you all know, and then I'll wrap up, policy is fluid and government is fluid and priorities can change or sort of be edited as we go. So we encourage you to highlight issues you see that you would like us to engage with further, but those are our pillars and that's kind of how we develop our policy platform. So I hope that was helpful.
So helpful. Thank you, Jessica. Next, we have another question. Does Medical Alley Association have resources to help members with training on medical related standards? And Philip would like to answer that question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christy. My name is Philip Gristal, and I'm the startup principal at the association. When it comes to resources, it can be medical standards. It could be anything else. We ourselves personally don't provide this training or these resources, but we can, depending on your needs, point you to the right person or the right organization that could potentially help you. So please feel free to reach out anytime you have any question, and we will always try to help you.
Thank you, Philip. That's great. Another person earlier had a question about whether or not we could send a referral for example, a bookkeeper for like contract work. And I want to say that absolutely, those are the exact kinds of connections that we are very excited to make. So if there is, you can always send me an email or really anyone on the team, and we're happy to connect you with those types of resources. We had another question here. Can we get a copy of today's presentation? Absolutely. This has been recorded. It will be sent out then to our to the people who registered. So you can watch it again and even share it with your colleagues. Another question, does Medical Alley ever sponsor a golf tournament? That is not currently in our slate of events. So the short answer is no, but I hope we'll see you at the annual dinner on the 12th of May. Let's see, there was another question. As a member, can I bring business associates to Medical Alley functions as my guest or as a colleague under my company membership? And I would say the answer to that is yes, that would be fine. Register with your membership and you can register your guests as well. Any other questions? I hope I hit everyone's here. Awesome. Well, if there are no other questions, then I would like to thank you so much for your membership. Appreciate you being here today and really appreciate your membership and hope you will become involved in every way possible as you heard from the entire panel today. Thank you.